Hello Internet, Doug Redmond here, and in this video I'm going to talk about the new feature in Deco 2014. Now if you don't know what Deco is, I suggest you look at the video I made for Deco 2013. That will explain what the app is and what it does and how it works and everything. For this video I'm just going to talk about the new feature I added in the 2014 version. So here I've created a simple custom object, and I've already got Deco hooked up. I've already got kind of a simple little UI here, and the thing that was added for 2014 is the ability to take this associated data, basically this contents tab, and you can now put that in Deco as well and work with it through a custom UI. So if you've got links to child elements, you can manage those and create those through Deco. So I'll just kind of show you how I do that there. So I'm going to take the UI I already have and I'm going to modify it. One trick is if you go to this new UI button and do a shift click, it will bring up the folder where all of the XAML files are. So I'm just going to go and open this up in Visual Studio. Now the contents control is going to look pretty much like this tab does, right? It's going to be a grid with a bunch of stuff in it. And the grid is part of the 2014 SDK. It's a new feature in the SDK. But unfortunately it is a WinForms control, and Deco is for WPF controls. So how you get around that is you have to use a special control that lets you host a WinForms inside of a WPF control. So how you do that, where's my toolbox? Go to my toolbox. So I'm going to go to Choose Items. So in the WPF Components tab, you're going to scroll down and you're going to select Windows Forms Host. That will let us put our WinForms control into this thing. So now we drag that into our UI, and then we can kind of set all of the behavior here. I'll put a label on this thing as well. Okay, so inside of Visual Studio, it's just going to look like this gray box, but Deco will plop in the control. So at runtime, you'll see a grid there. Also, Deco requires us to give this a special name so that it knows that it's not to be used for something else. So I believe the name is Associations Grid. This is explained in the Deco README as well. Okay, so we save that off. Now if we go back to our tab, we see that it's got the grid now. It's basically the same as the Contents tab. And if we do a new item, we also get we get our grid. If you click inside of it and hit the insert button, it'll bring up a form that will let us browse through and select the items we want. And we can select any entity type, so we can select a folder, a file. If there's a link to a custom object or an item or a change order, that can all be selected here. And that can be part of the object. So all that stuff's there. It's also in the Contents tab. And we still have the edit functionality, so I can go in and I can delete. I can hit the delete key to remove an option, and when I hit OK, it will update those relationships. Now the Contents tab still works like it did before, so if you don't want to use Deco, you can still do the you can still copy objects from elsewhere in Vault and paste the link into this Contents tab, and you can also delete from here too. So all of that still works, but Deco again gives you a way to kind of have more of a customized look to it. Okay, so like I mentioned, this grid is part of the Vault SDK. So Deco doesn't actually have all of the grid logic in it. That's that I kind of got that for free when I wrote this. The same is true when you hit that insert button and this window pops up. That's included in the SDK. A lot of other kind of cool features that are part of this grid control. You can customize the columns. And if you go back to the dialog again, it remembers the column settings. Now these settings are on a user per user basis, so each user can set up their own column settings on their own. But just by default, Deco puts in just the name column and nothing else. And each of the different views has a different set of columns that it can remember. So the edit columns don't have to look like the view columns or the new columns. And there's a bunch of other stuff that come with this too. You have different views that you can have. I believe there's a filter. So a lot of very powerful stuff here to play around with. So anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. Hope you enjoy this feature as much as I enjoyed writing it.